Welcome to this explainer. If you're a parent, you already get it. Navigating how to encourage your child's interests can honestly feel like walking a tightrope. You see their incredible potential, and naturally, you just want to see it grow. But what happens when our absolute best intentions accidentally get in the way? Today, we're diving into a pretty fascinating dynamic. We're going to explore why well-meaning rewards can sometimes accidentally shift a child's focus away from their own natural curiosity and redirect it entirely toward earning prizes. We'll look at the science of motivation, why this actually happens, and most importantly, how we can support our kids' passions in a way that keeps that inner spark alive. So let's just dive right into it.
Okay, picture this incredibly relatable family moment. Let's say your child absolutely loves drawing. They're spending hours covering every piece of scrap paper in the house with dragons, detailed maps, you name it. One afternoon, hoping to encourage this awesome hobby, you say, hey, for every picture you finish, you can earn a sticker. And 10 stickers gets you that new art set. It comes from a place of pure love, right? And at first it works brilliantly. Your child is drawing more, they're eagerly checking the sticker chart, tracking their progress. But jump ahead a few weeks. The art set is earned. You put some fresh paper out on the table, totally expecting them to just dive right in, but they walk right past it. When you suggest drawing, they look at you and ask, do I get anything for this? Suddenly, the activity that used to pull them in naturally feels like it requires a paycheck.
Section 1. The core mistake. Let's look at what happens when we pay for an existing interest.
Now, the core mistake here absolutely isn't that you cared too much, or even that you used a reward. The issue is that adding a promised prize to something a child already loves introduces a totally separate second reason for doing it. When a kid builds with blocks, plays around on an instrument, or makes up games purely for fun, that activity already has its own built-in reward. It offers a challenge, it's surprising, and it's joyful. The psychology behind what happens when we add a prize to that mix is super interesting. Researchers call this shift the over-justification effect. Simply put, it's what happens when an activity driven by natural interest starts to feel like paid work, all because of repeated, expected rewards. The child stops thinking, I'm doing this because I want to explore, and starts thinking, I'm just doing this to get the prize. The promised reward basically hijacks their natural motivation.
So the real kicker here is understanding the difference between short-term output and actual long-lasting curiosity. When there's a reward on the line, the goal is crystal clear. You are definitely going to see a spike in counted output. That means more completed pages, rushing to finish a book to earn a buck, or constantly checking the reward chart. But output doesn't equal curiosity. Unmeasured curiosity looks completely different. It looks like a kid asking weird, surprising side questions, taking creative risks, totally failing and trying again, and most importantly, going back to the activity voluntarily when literally nobody is keeping score. A system that only rewards the finished product might actually be teaching a child to rush, to pick easy tasks, and to avoid the exact experiments that make learning so magical in the first place.
Section 2. What the research says. And spoiler alert, it's about caution, not panic.
First off, if you have a sticker chart on your fridge right now, please take a deep breath. One reward doesn't permanently destroy a child's creativity, and we are definitely not villainizing rewards here. The research shows a really clear distinction between expected, controlling payments and unexpected appreciation. Surprising your child with a little celebration for their hard work, that is totally different than a promised payment. In fact, rewards are fantastic, effective tools when you match them to the right task. External rewards work wonderfully for low-interest tasks or chores, like getting through those really frustrating piano scales when a child loves music but just hates practicing technique. They are great for learning a difficult new routine, ensuring immediate safety, or just providing some temporary support when starting a really hard skill. The distinction is just this: you don't want to pay forever for an activity your kid already loves doing.
Section 3. Spotting the warning signs. Let's talk about how to catch this shift in motivation as it happens.
So, what do these warning signs actually look like in everyday life, and how can we pivot? You really want to watch for a pattern where the reward system starts organizing the activity more than the child's own curiosity does. Take a look at the difference between a controlling offer and a supportive approach. Say your child is reading. Instead of saying, I'll pay you for every chapter you finish, try something like, hey, let's find a mystery that feels challenging but won't totally frustrate you. In art, instead of finish 5 pictures and I'll buy you those new markers, you could swap it for, with some better paper, help you try out that sunset idea. And for science, rather than complete the experiment book to earn some iPad time, you might say, just pick one experiment you really want to dig into and understand. See what's happening there? You're seamlessly shifting from controlling their output to genuinely supporting their exploration.
Section 4. Restoring curiosity. Let's dive into an actionable framework called the SPARK plan.
If you're recognizing some of those controlling patterns in your own house, don't sweat it. You can gently reset this dynamic without causing abrupt frustration or getting into big arguments. The Spark Plan is a compassionate, step-by-step process to help you support their interests without completely taking them over. So, S stands for start with the interest already present. Just observe what they naturally gravitate toward when you aren't reminding them. P is for protect choice and ownership. Let them choose the topic, the pace, and the materials. A means add support before adding prizes. Give them the time, maybe a quiet corner or take a trip to the library before you ever even reach for a reward. R is for reward carefully and briefly. If a reward really is needed to get over a hard hurdle, give it a very narrow purpose and have a plan for how it's going to fade out. And finally, K, keep watching after the reward ends. Notice if they actually go back to it voluntarily. If their enjoyment suddenly drops, restore their choice and reduce the pressure rather than just throwing a bigger prize at them.
Section 5. The 7-Day Curiosity Reset. We're going to walk through a practical, week-long plan. To actually put the Spark Plan into motion, you might be looking for a practical place to begin. This week-long exercise is designed to slowly strip away those unnecessary targets from your child's hobbies, giving their natural interest the breathing room it desperately needs to return. Here's how you can gently guide this reset, day by day. On day 1, simply pick one previously loved activity that's gotten a bit too tied to rewards, say building Lego models. Day 2, just stop advertising the reward. If you have an existing agreement, definitely honor it, but let them know the system is going to change soon. Day 3, ask an open question, something like, what did you love about building these before we started counting them? And then, just listen without correcting them. Day 4, remove one unnecessary metric. Let them choose the design entirely on their own. Day 5, swap out the payment for support. Give them uninterrupted time or maybe some fresh materials. Day 6, this is the big one. Allow a totally unmeasured session. Don't count the minutes, the pieces, or the mistakes. Finally, on day 7, review it together. Ask, did this feel a bit more like your own activity again? It's a really beautiful way to reopen that dialogue.
I absolutely love this thought, and it beautifully summarizes our core philosophy in this explainer. Curiosity grows best when children have something worth exploring, enough skill to make progress, and room to choose. Ultimately, your genuine presence, the materials you provide, and your shared excitement over their discoveries, those things are infinitely more powerful than any point system or sticker chart could ever be. Rewards should support an environment of curiosity. They should never replace it.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I've got a bit of a challenge for you. I want you to try making a compassionate shift in your mindset today. When you see your child diving into a hobby, stop yourself if you start thinking, ooh, what can I give them to make them do more of this? Instead, I want you to embrace a completely different approach. Ask yourself, what would help this interest stay theirs? Which leaves us with this final, really powerful question. What would help this interest stay yours? Try asking your kid this very question today. You might actually be surprised by how incredibly simple their answer is. Maybe they just want you to sit next to them while they draw, or maybe they just want the freedom to totally mess up a science experiment without worrying about losing points. Empower them to own their curiosity. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and have a great time discovering what naturally sparks your child's imagination.